Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 3 of What If Naruto Was a Stray Devil. If you guys enjoy this what if, and want to see part 4 of it, comment down below, and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. Ollie grins as she delivers a left hook that hits her sensei in the side. She continues to grin as she gets a hard knee in the stomach, sending her flying back and tumbling on the ground. I finally did it, sensei, Volley pants, still grinning as she coughs up a little blood. I finally hit you. Hahaha, good job Volley-chan. You honestly caught me off guard there, which is an extremely hard thing to do, Naruto says, smiling as he proudly looks down at the 13-year-old on the ground with bruises all over her. If someone saw Volley walking down the street, they would probably think she is being horribly abused. Ollie pulls herself up off the ground, wiping the blood away from her mouth, as she still grins victoriously. It's been several months since they went to visit the Norse pantheon, and she has been trying hard ever since. Every time her sensei brings up potentially going somewhere to travel, she has pleaded to stay and train. She doesn't want another Freya incident. He is my sensei. Mine. Volley thinks to herself as she looks at him. I think we should call it a day on that note, Volley-chan. Naruto says, and she gives him a tired nod. She trudges her way back to their house, too tired to make any conversation with her sensei. She glances over at him, and doesn't find a hint of the tiredness she feels. He isn't the one getting beaten to a pulp every single day. You should take a rest from training, Albion informs her, slightly worried about his charge. She hasn't taken a day off at all, each day working herself to the bone. Naruto hasn't said anything about her work ethic either. In fact, he seems to think that it is normal and encourages it. Hell no. It might be torture, but sensei is making me stronger, Volley says to Albion. Albion rolls his eyes from inside the gear at this girl's stubbornness. She must have picked it up from Naruto. Listen, why don't you ask Naruto to take you shopping tomorrow? Most of your clothes have been destroyed in training, even with the reinforcement seals Naruto has put on them, and your body has been growing, Albion suggests. Ollie reaches her room and strips, wanting to immediately hop in the shower. She looks at herself in the mirror, disregarding all the bruises and scars on her body. It seems she has hit puberty, as her once flat chest is now starting to bud into small breasts, and she has had her first period 2 months ago. When she told Naruto, he went so red in the face and stammered out that he would buy some feminine hygiene products for her. She honestly doesn't know how he can be so squeamish talking about such things, yet totally fine with pretty much everything else. That is true, plus, I still would be with sensei. Okay, I guess I can do that, Volley says, and Albion sighs in relief. Volley may become his most powerful host ever, but she definitely needs more balance. As she is in the shower, she starts using magic to start healing her bruises. She isn't great at healing magic, but her sensei insists on her learning it. The black and blue spots soon fade, leaving her skin a nice milky white. She gets out of the shower feeling refreshed, dresses, and drags herself downstairs for food. She sees her sensei making ramen and several different vegetables. He told her once that he only makes those to not stunt her growth. Sensei, she calls out to him, getting a questioning hum in return. Can you take me shopping tomorrow for new clothes? Sure. That sounds like fun. And it looks like you healed yourself. Good. I don't want people to think I beat you, Naruto says as he continues to cook. But you do, sensei, Volley deadpans. You know what I mean. Naruto nervously chuckles out. Volley rolls her eyes, but has a small smile on her face. The next morning, Naruto and Volley set out, not before Naruto creates his usual 1000 clones to practice. Lately, his clones have been working on Kenjutsu, the fire version of his Rasen Shuriken, which is almost complete, learning different fire jutsus, and a squad that are just experimenting with different things like creating new jutsus and seals. He personally has been working on hand seal speed, as it is atrocious, magic, and Goken. Ollie is still only working on taijutsu, battle awareness, and her magic. No sacred gear training. Naruto believes it should be her trump card, not the thing she relies on to win. He say that her taijutsu is around mid-chunin level, which after only a year is amazing progress. Battle awareness is a work in progress still, as she can get tunnel vision on her opponent. It's a tough thing to develop, though pain is steadily making her become better. Magic-wise, he has no real clue as he has no basis, but he thinks she is doing well. Naruto and Volley hop into Naruto's car, an orange Lamborghini. Does he need one? Certainly not. Does it look awesome? Hell yes. He eventually wants to get a red spiral painted on the hood. This is also his second time driving it, but it's really easy once you get the hang of it. Sensei, do we have to drive? Volley asks as it is an hour drive to Berlin. She'd rather just teleport. Of course, Volley-chan. We need to blend in, and humans drive cars, Naruto says with a smile. You just want to drive again, Volley accuses. Yup. They hop in and Naruto guns it, taking around 30 minutes to get onto a highway, and Naruto goes nearly 150 miles per hour, weaving in and out of traffic. Volley, meanwhile, is just listening to music and relaxing. As they pull into Berlin and park on the street, many people are pointing at them and commenting on how amazing their car is. Volley tries to fix her hair as the wind made it wild, while Naruto takes all the attention in stride with a wide grin on his face. As they walk down the street to several stores, neither notices a bat familiar high above spot them. "Sensei, does this look good on me?" Volley asks as she comes out of the dressing room. She has on dark skinny jeans and a maroon shirt that flatters her well. Naruto gives her a once-over and nods. "Yes, but I thought we were getting training clothes." Naruto asks. "Well, I thought I could buy some other clothes as well." "The others are getting small too," Volley says, and looks at him pleadingly. "Volley, get whatever you want." "You know money isn't a problem," Naruto says with a wave of his hand. He looks back down at a magazine that goes on about celebrities. He really doesn't care about it, but he is so bored. Shopping is such a chore to him. After they exit the store, Naruto finds himself holding 7 shopping bags and they just started. He clearly needs to use magic to send these back to the house. They start walking down the street to another store, with Volley walking as close to him as possible. "Kit," Kurama says. "Yeah, I know Kurama. That guy looked like he was watching us," Naruto says as he continues to walk, acting like nothing is wrong. He expands his senses, trying to feel for anything supernatural, and he feels the signature of the devil. Naruto grabs Volley's hand, confusing her, and starts walking away from the stores. "Sensei, we have unexpected company," Naruto says evenly. Volley's eyes widen and almost tries to look around before her training kicks in. She expands her senses and continues to walk normally. She finds the person Naruto is talking about, and she can feel he definitely has a decent amount of magical reserves. Naruto eventually takes her to a park and creates a simple magical barrier to keep humans out of the park, and to make all electronics go dark. Naruto and Volley turn around to face the man behind him. "Ho ho, so you sense me. Still, I'd expect nothing less from the stray of the Leviathan," the man says, complimenting him. "So, what do you want?" Naruto asks. "Well, I am a stray devil hunter, and you are one of the biggest fish on the market," the man says, shrugging. "The council, embarrassed that a peerage member ran away from a demon king, labeled you an SS class stray, and is offering a huge bounty for your head. So, I am here to collect." Naruto's eyebrows raise. "OSS class, You know, where I am from, people with that classification had a runaway on-site order attached to it. What makes you so confident?" "Simple. I am not alone," he says, and 20 magic circles appear. 20 other devils appear in front of them with cocky sneers on their faces. Volley tenses, anger radiating off of her. How dare they talk about taking her sensei away from her? He is hers. She will kill anyone who tries. Naruto, on the other hand, isn't disturbed at all. He himself has higher magical reserves than each individual here. He glances over at Volley, and is a little surprised to feel the sheer anger and kai directed at the devils in front of them. He places a hand on her shoulder and gives her a soft smile. "Don't worry. Even you have higher magical reserves than most of them. There's no way these small fry can beat me," Naruto states calmly. Volley calms down a little and nods her head stiffly, though her hands are still balled up. "So, you want to dance?" Naruto asks with an eyebrow raised. Internally, he is freaking out as he always wanted to say that. Say what you will about Mater, but some of his phrases are pretty badass. "What?" the devil bounty hunters ask, sweat dropping. Ignoring them, he takes off his weights on his arms and legs and holds them up. Volley does the same. "Last chance to leave before you all die," Naruto says ominously. Some of the devils start sweating as the pressure he is exerting is affecting them. Still, the reward is too great to run away from. "Alright," Naruto says and drops his weights, creating 2 craters, and dust flies up. Volley does the same, and in movement so fast that none of the devils can see, he appears in front of the leader and punches his head with such force that it breaks his neck, and he dies instantly. Every devil is wide-eyed, unbelieving of what they just saw. Volley soon follows her sensei's lead, though at a speed not nearly as fast, and starts fighting one of them. They engage in hand-to-hand combat for a bit, Volley's superior and unfamiliar technique allowing her to compete with the older devil's brute strength. She lands several good hits in the stomach and knee, only getting hit once in the side. Her opponent backs up and creates a magic circle in front of him, sending lightning at Volley. She simply creates a magical barrier in front of her, before sending an overwhelming amount of fire back at him. Eyes widened, the devil hastily erects his own barrier, barely holding off the fire, but he can feel the heat. Volley, not fazed at all by him blocking her magic, creates another magic circle before her eyes widen, and she immediately jumps out of the way. Not a moment too soon either, as an earth spike that would have skewered her appears at her last position. Scowling, she creates 2 magic circles, one on each hand, and sends a massive fire dragon, something she created by seeing Naruto's jutsu, at her original opponent, and sends lightning the other. Her first opponent smirks as this should be easy now and flies out of the way of the dragon. His eyes widen as the dragon follows him. He takes hasty evasive maneuvers before sending a large amount of water at the dragon, extinguishing it. He then sends arrows of demonic magic at the girl, trying to take advantage of her attention being focused on her other opponent. Ollie dodges the arrows, just barely, and she needs to get her two opponents both in front of her. One behind and in front of her is not ideal. She quickly runs a bit away, creating a magical barrier protecting herself from another lightning strike. Now that she can see both her opponents, that conveniently grouped together back on the ground. Idiots. Ollie creates another fire dragon, this one larger than the last, and sends it flying at them. The devils decide to both create a magical wall, and the fire dragon cracks it, but ultimately doesn't get through. How much magical energy does this little girl have? One of them shouts. He can feel that most of his reserves are already gone. Ollie this time rushes them, throwing several fireballs, while dodging some lightning. She is getting increasingly frustrated that she hasn't ended the fight already. Her sensei trained her better than this. The fireballs are dodged as the devils take to the sky. She unleashes her own wings, the 6 devil wings shocking her opponents, and they falter for a split second. Ollie shoots lightning this time. She isn't as strong with it as fire, and it connects with one of them. He cries out in pain, and Volley goes for the kill. She creates a ginormous fireball and blasts it at him, before instantly attacking the other devil, not allowing him a chance to defend his friend. She hears a scream of pain behind her, knowing that it hit, and she now only has one opponent. She charges in and they engage in a taijutsu battle in midair. She manages to get under his guard and kick him in the balls. As he cries out in pain, she backs up and creates 2 more fire dragons and sends it at him, manipulating them both. The devil tries to fly away from it, but she traps him, and he is burnt to ashes. She looks around for her next opponent, only to see her sensei standing there with his arms crossed, and the other 18 devils dead. He is giving her a strange look, one full of proudness and sorrow. She is confused about the latter, as all she did was kill the. Oh, those were my first kills, Volley thinks to herself as she lands. Surprisingly, she doesn't really care at all. They tried to take away her sensei. Death is what they deserved. She has also seen people killed in front of her many times back, when she was still with her father and grandfather. Bastards. Good job, hatchling. You did me, and your sensei proud Albion says. She didn't even need his power to kill 2 more experienced high-class level devils. Naruto appears right in front of her and gives her a hug. She happily accepts and tightens her arms around him. Do you feel alright? Naruto asks quietly as they hug each other. She hums happily as she tries to further bury herself into him. I am sorry you had to do that, Naruto says softly. She looks up at his cerulean blue eyes and shakes her head. It's okay, sensei. Those guys were trying to take you away from me. You are mine. They deserve to die, she says with a smile. Naruto's eyebrows raise up when he hears that. She worded that very peculiarly. Ahahaha, oh kid, at least you didn't raise an Uchiha. Kurama laughs in his mind. What do you mean, Kurama? Naruto questions as he pulls Volley back into the embrace. He creates 2 clones to collect anything of note, dispose of the bodies, and clean up the area. Remember? She can take on draconic traits. And what are dragons famous for besides pride? Greed, kid. She is looking at you like an Akamichi looks at food. Kurama snickers. Naruto's sweat drops, but in all honesty, he doesn't mind. Way better than an Uchiha. Way better. Well, come on, Volley-chan. Let's put our weights back on and finish our shopping, Naruto says. Volley nods and releases him. Naruto looks down at himself and grimaces at the bloodstains. He was pretty messy going through those devils. He just wanted to make sure he could help Volley if she needed it. That's a sensei's duty after all. He uses magic to change his outfit to the same exact one, just not bloody. This is honestly one of the most convenient things about magic in his mind. That and he can now teleport. His progress with duration is non-existent. His clones dispel and the park looks better, though several patches are still burned from Volley's fire magic. Ah well, he did his best. He walks over and reattaches his weights, but frowns. Sure, it's baddest to drop the weights and look cool, but it is inefficient in battle. I think there is a seal I can adapt to paint on our bodies, Naruto muses. That's a thing for later though. Today is for finishing their shopping. Come on, Volley-chan, Naruto says as he holds out his hand. She happily accepts it and smiles. He is her sensei. And he isn't going anywhere. In the underworld, the 4 Demon King are in an emergency meeting to discuss the stray devil Uzumaki Naruto. Each is seated around a circular table, with Fabrium asleep, Ijuka tinkering with some sort of device, Serafo inspecting her wand, and Surzich's looking at a picture of his cute little Rias. Surzicha-sama, may I suggest that you start the meeting now? Grafia, dressed in her maid uniform, says politely from behind him. Ah yes. Thank you, Grafia, Surzich says as he puts away the photo. We are here to discuss Uzumaki Naruto. He was spotted in Berlin, Germany with a young girl around 13 with silver hair. It was reported that he was acting like her caretaker, however, we have no idea who the girl is. Regardless, Fran Versus, a high-class devil that is a stray bounty hunter, spotted him and confronted him with 20 others of high-class level power as backup. It is believed that they all perished in a fight against Naruto in a park in Berlin. There was evidence of fire magic used there, he explains to his other demon kings. It sounds like he is at least mid-ultimate class in strength, Ijuka comments as he puts down his device. Indeed. In fact, he continued to shop with the girl after the fight, Surzichus says. Mubad Nartan. Abandoning me after I turned him into my very first peerage member. I wasn't going to treat him like a slave. It's caused me so many problems, Seraful says with a pout. She was really sad when Naruto ran out on her. Many people scoff behind her back now about how she can't control a single peerage member. She can't even look for him with her demon king duties. Privately, many devils admit to themselves that they would probably go straight to if they had Seraful as their master. Still, she is a demon king, and it looks terrible if someone goes stray from one of their peerages, so they put a huge bounty on his head. This way it reinforces the perception that it is not acceptable to turn stray. Regardless, what should we do about this? Surzichus asks. Seraful, what is your estimation of his strength? Ijuka asks. I don't really know, as he was very injured when I found him. All I know is that he had chakra when I reincarnated him, but I didn't see any traits of yokai, except he had 3 whisker marks on each cheek. They were so cute. Seraful squeals. So Yujutsu and possibly Senjutsu in addition to any devil magic he has been able to learn. Ijuka speaks his mind aloud. Troublesome. Just put out a warning that only ultimate class devils should attack him if they value their lives, Fabrium says as he yawns. Alright, that is acceptable. They should have realized he is dangerous with the rating we gave him anyway. Should we look into the young girl as well? Surzichus asks. Surzichus, we have more important things to do than look for records of a little girl that he picked up who knows where in the past year, Ijuka says as he rolls his eyes. I guess you were right, Surzichus says with a sigh. So Seraful, any word on what is happening in the Norse faction? Well, from what I have heard is that the Vanir and Aesir gods are about to go to war again. There are rumors that is all over Freya wanting a divorce, Seraful informs them. Is there a reason Freya wants a divorce? They have been married for over millennia, and I have heard it's a marriage in name only now, Surzichus asks. Apparently, it's over a man. However, none of the people I talked to know the name, as the gods didn't want to give it out and risk Freya's wrath. Hell, apparently, Odin likes the guy too. Seraful says exasperated. None of her charms worked. Anyhow, Odin has gone on another one of his journeys to figure out what to do. He has 15 more days to give his answer, or else war starts anew. This is causing waves across all the factions, most preparing for war themselves to pick up the pieces. Seraful finishes with a sigh. Seriously, what kind of guy would make Freya act like this? Seraful heard she was a slut of the highest order, and only considered men as playthings. Well, that is certainly troubling. At least they still have time to rectify it. Maybe we should prepare our own forces. Surzichus wonders out loud. He doesn't want another war, but it would be wise to prepare for one. Ijuka scoffs. We don't need to get into that shit show should it happen. Let the others fight over it, he tells his best friend. Seraful nods her head in agreement. They all look over to see Fabrium snoring loudly. Everyone develops a large sweat drop at just how easily he can fall asleep. Well, I think that covers everything. We will inform the council of our decisions tomorrow, Surzichus says, and they all teleport out of the room, back to their respective domains. Odin is stupefied. Having been around for millennia and constantly pursuing new knowledge, as well as women, he thought he knew everything to come. His sacrifice of his item Mimir to drink from the well of Erd, in order to gain wisdom beyond all others, along with stabbing himself with his spear and hanging off the branch of Yggdrasil for 9 days and nights, to be able to understand the primordial runes, made him confident in the future. Of how Ragnarok will come, and he will be one day killed by Fenrir, if they don't fight with any other faction. Now, he isn't so sure. His wife Freya wants a divorce, something he never saw coming. All because of the devil. However, said devil is the Toad Sage, so he can't hate him. Besides, he highly doubts the poor sop even knows what he caused. He'll certainly end up getting more than he bargained for. Nevertheless, this shouldn't be happening. He said as much, and Freya threatened war with him if he doesn't give in. His side will win, as Thor is much stronger than either him or Freya, but it would be a costly bloody battle. For the first time in millennia he isn't sure what to do. The fate of the Norse faction is up in the air. Why can't life go back to being simple when my biggest concern is what brothel I was going to visit? Odin complains to himself as he climbs down the side of Yggdrasil. His hands tightly grip the outer bark as he lowers himself down careful. One cannot reach the home of the Norn and receive advice without experiencing great hardship. Finally, after 13 days of climbing down Yggdrasil, Odin touches his feet against the soft ground and sees a mist covering the floor. Nearly completely dark, his soul light takes a couple minutes to adjust. He walks forward cautiously as one doesn't tread lightly on the home of the Norns. They could kill him if they so desired. In front of him he sees the small shrine that he built for Mimir. With a weary smile, he walks up to it to see the preserved head open his eyes. It has been a long time since you have last visited this place, Odin the head says as he takes in the tired visage of the god. Indeed, Mimir it has. I'm afraid I am in need of some counseling, Odin says as his eye floats over to the well of Erd, something Mimir notices. You know you may drink from it once more for the original price, Mimir says to Odin. For my other eye. Odin says as he strokes his beard. No, Odin. The original offer, Mimir emphasizes. Odin pales and his hands instinctively cover his groin. Not a chance of my becoming a eunuch. There are even things I won't do for knowledge, Odin vehemently yells. Ha ha ha, it was worth a shot, Mimir chuckles to himself. The knowledge I seek can be found in the well, my friend. I must confront the Norns and ask for their advice, Odin grimly says. They may ask for more than me. Must you go to them? Mimir questions. Yes. Freya's decision goes against Ragnarok. I must know if the future has changed and what to do. Do I allow this divorce to happen? Odin sighs. I have heard shouting and bickering coming from them recently. It awoke me from my long slumber as I thought someone else had traveled down here to make a deal with me, Mimir informs him. No one else wishes to lose an eye. Those fools. I'll see you around, Mimir, Odin says as he walks away from the bodiless giant. Not 5 minutes later, true to Mimir's words, he can hear the bickering and griping of the Norns coming from a grove of roots in front of him. Stupid string. We should burn it. Tie the others around it. Odin's eyebrow raises in surprise. He has never known the Norns to be the sort to be out of sorts. He clears his throat as he approaches, and they immediately quiet down. Out of the roots walks a beautiful older woman whose golden hair falls down past her shoulders, and her beautiful face is set in an unhappy frown. Why have you come here, traveler? The Norn questions as she looks at the All-Father with a hint of irritation. Wise Norns, I have come to seek your advice. My wife Freya wants to divorce me, but I had not seen nor heard such a thing in the tales before Ragnarok. If I don't divorce her, she will declare war on the Aesir gods. What should I do? Odin questions. How the fuck should I know? The Norn yells, and throws her hands up in exasperation and anger. We were all minding our business weaving the fates of gods and men, when all the strings untangled. All of them. What do we find to be the cause of this? A never before seen orange string. Odin's eyes widen at seeing the usually all-seeing and calm Norn blow her gasket at his question. Said Norn walks back into the root grove muttering to herself. He makes his way cautiously after her in case she lashes out against him. He walks into the opening and sees two of their identical women to the first standing around a loom and spinner, with an innumerable amount of strings on the floor. Runes carved into the roots of Yggdrasil have been summarily crossed out, rewritten, and crossed out again. On the loom is a single orange string that they are glaring at it with such a frightful aura that Odin is intimidated. Welcome, Odin. Please excuse our sister's behavior. She is not herself right now. None of us are thanks to this string, one of the other Norns says, turning to him with a smile. I understand that you are completely busy with this problem, but I come to ask a question. Is the future of Ragnarok still true? Odin asks in a serious tone. What you see on the floor is all that is left of Ragnarok, the third Norn mutters in disgust. They spent millennia creating it and this one stupid string made it all crash. What the hellheim? Odin mutters with his one eye wide in shock. We are going to have to contact her, the second says, getting the other two to look at her like she is insane. Her? No. We absolutely can't. We will never be able to live this down. The first yells in anger. But we need to spin a new tapestry. This stupid string isn't letting us do so with any efficiency, the second retorts. Who is her? Odin asks curiously. He didn't know the Norns had anyone to contact regarding the fates of the Norse. Fate, the third murmurs. Odin scrunches his eyebrows in confusion. Fate? But don't you control fate? No one controls fate. It does what it wants. Fate is the crystallization of the concept of fate. Just like office is the infinite given form. We merely are allowed to shape the fates of gods and men at its discretion. Basically, we are subordinates, the second explains to Odin. Odin is shell-shocked. He thought the power dynamic was the other way around. He has never met fate as it is reckless. To think that fate actually controls the Norns and by proxy the Norse faction, it must be immensely strong. To call her is so embarrassing, the third says. It must be done, the second retorts. She creates a magic circle and speaks in hushed tones that Odin can't quite hear. Not even a second later, a magic circle appears, and out pops a 16-year-old purple-haired girl with Beats by Dr. Dre covering her ears, wearing baggy gray sweats, and a juice box in hand. Her golden eyes look about lazily, as if she is bored of everyone and everything. Why did fate take this look? She is genderless, but wow, is she gorgeous even in sweats. If only she ages herself a couple years, fu. Odin thinks to himself perversely. What's up? The girl says and proceeds to take a sip from her juice box. The three Norns immediately kneel in her presence. Fate Samar tapestry is ruined. An orange string that we cannot spin is currently on the loom, and resist our most ardent attempts to corral it, the second Norn tells her. What's that have to do with me? Fate asks with disinterest, though her eyes were scrutinizing the orange string. The first Norn gets a bit angry and yells, we were hoping you could actually do something for once. You sound like war. I did something and Death scolded me afterward. I shouldn't have killed off the biblical god because war told me to, or so she said. Death laughed at the irony of the causing the war to cease, however. War wasn't happy, Fate says while sipping on her juice box. Her eyes still haven't left the orange string. Auden gasps in shock. The biblical god is dead. No one had seen him in millennia, but he never ventured outside of his heaven and always sent his angels as emissaries. This changes everything. Fate walks over to the orange string and puts her finger on it. She gasps slightly and runs her down the entire length of it. Her once bored eyes now are shining with curiosity. Most curious. There are very, very few strings like this. I guess I'll have to weave it myself, Fate speaks out loud. Each Norn gains wide eyes at that remark. To their knowledge, this has never happened before. Using her power, Fate gently coaxes the string from the loom, and it curls up in her hands. Her eyes go back to being bored as soon as they look away from the string. Don't spin anything until I put this string into my personal world tapestry. I'll also tell you what to make. Is that clear? She says with her authority laced in her tone. Each Norn nods their head dutifully. Fate disappears and each Norn rises off the ground. Auden starts backpedaling out of the root grove. Wait, Auden. Surely, you don't think you can get out of here without giving us something in return for our advice? The first Norn says with an undertone of danger present. What advice? I asked if I should divorce Freya, and no one said anything about it, Auden answers back warily. You can divorce her. Now is the payment. The third says. Auden gulps. The memory of the biblical god being dead, your wisdom, or your groin. You choose, the second Norn finishes. All in all, it was a pretty easy choice for Auden to make. Now he has to climb back to the top, missing out on the best kept secret in the supernatural world. Of course, he doesn't know that. Ollie-chan, I need you to come here, Naruto asks just as she finishes up training her magic. She hardly has any magic left to cast a spell, if she needed to defend herself, but she doesn't mind in this safe environment. Besides, it's the best way to gain reserves. She walks over to him, wiping the sweat off her brow. Working with fire magic, specifically fire dragons, can overheat her easily. Why are you pretty much exclusively working on fire magic anyway? Albion questions. Because Sensei is constantly working on his fire jutsu magic. She responds. Albion's sweat drops at her childish response. You do know that he has his clones working on other things as well, right? Yeah, I do, but he is primarily working on fire, as you can see by those clones exploding while trying to add fire to the Rasengan, so I decided to as well, Volley says. Albion gives up. His host can do what she wants with that training schedule that she has. What is it you need, Sensei? She asks as she cutely tilts her head. Well, I noticed after that fight we had that, well, cool, it is inefficient to have to take our weights off in battle. I had a clone adapt a seal that we can draw on our bodies to simulate the effect of weights, and it will make the weight spread out across the body, Naruto explains. Therefore, I need you to strip, as it has to be drawn all across your body. Sorry about this, Naruto says. No need, Sensei. It doesn't bother me at all, Volley says as she quickly takes off everything. The cool air of late autumn makes her get goosebumps as she bears all. Naruto immediately sets to work, drawing lines all across her body in quick and efficient strokes. She is always amazed by how precise and fast he is when drawing seals. The couple of times she feels ticklish, but she doesn't dare move in fear of ruining it. Located right above her heart, he draws a swirl and the number 5. He channels his chakra through her, causing her to gasp at the strange, yet warm feeling rushing across her skin. Suddenly, she feels as if she has her weights on again. How does it feel? Naruto questions. It feels like I have my weights on. Good. The only problem is that you need to channel chakra to release the seal, so I am going to have to be the one to do it. I will have to start researching how to make magic-based seals. Sorry, Naruto says. No, don't worry, Sensei. It won't be a problem if you are always with me, Volley says with a shake of her head. Alright. My turn, Naruto says as he creates a clone. He strips as Volley puts back on her clothes. Volley looks at him, her eyes drinking in that of her 18-year-old sensei, and widen as they see the huge scar right where his heart is. She can't believe that he survived that. Her eyes then turn southward and blushes slightly at seeing her sensei's junk. She watches as the clone quickly draws the lines all across his body, and the spiral with the number 50 in it. She can't believe her sensei is that much stronger than her. He gets stressed, and dismisses the clone. He looks at her with a gleam in his eye, and she slightly gulps. Her sensei can sure be scary. You ready to spar, Volley-chan? She nods her head without hesitation, ready for yet another torture session. So Volley-chan, I am going to Tokyo tomorrow, Naruto says as he sips at the soup in front of him. He hears something snap and looks up at the blank face, but the broken spoon in her hand displays her anger. She really hates Naruto traveling, even when she is with him. He honestly thinks that if she could, she would have locked him up here forever. Do you want to come? He asks, and her fists slowly unclench as she nods her head. Yes. I would like that very much, Volley says quietly. You should know by now that I am not going to abandon you. You're a precious person to me, Volley-chan, Naruto tells her. Volley flushes slightly in embarrassment. I know you won't, Sensei. Still, I don't want anyone to take you away from me, Volley mumbles out. Relax, Volley-chan. That isn't going to happen, Naruto says reassuringly. Naruto's phone goes off in the middle dinner. Naruto gets up and goes to answer it, as not many have his phone number. Hello? Naruto asks. Hey Naruto, it's me Azazel. How are you doing? I am good, thanks. What's this about? Need your first favor. Oh no, not yet, hahaha. I just thought I should give you a heads up. Freya came to the Grigori and asked me for your location. I told her I was hoping to get on her good side and possibly woo her, but it didn't work. Anyways, she will probably be there soon. Have fun tonight getting more source material, you lucky bastard. The call ends and Naruto looks at the phone in bewilderment. Why the hell would Freya be asking for him? Yeah, they spent a night together, but that's it. Sensei, what's wrong? Polly questions as she sees the look on his face. Apparently, Freya is coming here, he says, and he hears another snap as Volley just broke yet another spoon. Seriously, what did the spoons ever do to her? Volley takes a few deep breaths and examines her options. Obviously, that bitch is coming for her sensei to take him away. That is not allowed to happen, but she can't beat Freya in a fight, and Naruto won't fight her without reason. Option 1. Convince sensei to leave with her right now, but she doubts that will happen as he is curious. Option 2. Lie and try to make sensei mad enough afraid to fight her. That option is out as it will be seen through and ruin her relationship with sensei. Option 3. Try to assert dominance over Freya through conversation, and make her realize sensei will never be hers. That's it is option 3 for now. One day I'll beat that bitch into the ground for what she tried to do, Volley thinks to herself. A knock on the door draws their attention. Naruto makes his way over there with Volley right on his heels. He opens the door and lo and behold, Freya is there in all her usual glory. Hello darling, she purrs out, getting Naruto's eyes to widen in shock. I have come for you. She walks right into his home, brushing past both of them with a sensual strut. Freya, what are you doing here? Naruto asks as he shuts the door behind him. Freya tilts her head cutely with confusion on her face. What do you ever mean darling? I came here, so we can be together of course, Freya says happily. Now let's celebrate by going to the bedroom. Naruto gets a small perverted smile on his face as he thinks back to the night they spent together. She certainly knows what she is doing. Then he grimaces as to exactly why she knows. Freya, Volley-chan and I are eating dinner right now, so I can't humor your requests, Naruto informs her, and Volley gets a small smile and hugs his arm to her chest. Freya, for the first time, looks at her with narrow eyes. Weren't you a small child before? She questions as Volley, even though she is 14, looks like a developing 16-year-old now. I was, but I have my devil genetics to thank for this. Apparently, we go through puberty pretty fast to get our seductive bodies, Volley says with a small smile. Still, she frowns at Freya's much larger chest size. She only has double B cups now. Oh well, that doesn't change the fact that you are an innocent and inexperienced child, Freya says with a slight chuckle. I'd rather be that than to have experienced all the men in the 9 realms, Volley says with a smirk as she holds on to sensei tighter. Naruto looks at Volley in shock, his eyes tracing over to Freya who looks like she wants to annihilate Volley from the planet. Ow. Sensei. They both look over to the man who karate chopped them in the head with tears in their eyes. I don't want a fight breaking out in the house. Freya, you're welcome to stay for dinner with us, but after that you should probably leave, Naruto informs her as walks past her back toward the kitchen. Volley gives her a victory sign before heading after him. Freya takes a couple of deep calming breaths to control her temper, and doesn't act on the urge to kill the child. Her darling would definitely not like her then. She follows them calmly into the kitchen, where she sees Darling set out another plate for her. Thank you darling, she says as she sits down gracefully. She gets a tiny smirk as she sees Naruto's eye glance over her body. Why do you call me darling? Naruto questions as he begins to eat some of his steak. Volley listens on intently as she chews her food. What else would I call a man that can make me feel the way that I do? Freya responds back. All we did is spend a night together, Naruto says with a slight blush. Talking about his sex life, especially in front of Volley, is weird. Exactly. The best night of my life. Freya proclaims and Naruto's blush intensifies. That is quite the compliment. Thank you, but I don't think that means I am your darling, Naruto stammers. Oh, but you are, Freya says with a gleam in her eye. She reaches out and grabs his hand, another utensil snapping in Volley's hand. The nights here must be so lonely with only your disciple. Maybe I could help out with that, she says seductively. Naruto gulps as the last time he had sex was with her. It's not like they are in a relationship or anything if they do, right? Sensei, didn't you say that Freya has to leave after dinner? Volley asks neutrally, but the tenseness in her body betrays her tone. Come on sensei, I promise I will be good, especially to you, Freya whispers huskily with lust clearly in her tone. Alright Freya, you can stay, Naruto says, getting a happy squeal from the goddess. Volley stands up abruptly. I am going to bed, Volley says and runs up the stairs. Naruto makes to follow after her, but Freya stops him. Don't worry about her darling. She will be fine tomorrow, Freya tells him. Naruto glances up the steps, but he brushes away his concerns. Volley is a strong girl, and she knows he isn't going to abandon her. Naruto looks back to the goddess, who has since removed her clothing and closes the distance between them. Why don't we get started right here? Freya says before she captures his lips with her own, relishing in their soft feel. Her tongue slips into his mouth, starting their mini battle, till she ultimately wins out, her superior experience giving her the edge. She pulls back, with lust shining in her eyes, and rips the clothes from his body. She gets a naughty grin as she feels something poking her in the leg. It seems someone is eager, Freya says as one of her hands grips the object firmly as she stares directly into her darling's eyes. You have no idea, Naruto says before he hungrily captures her lips. Grunts and sounds of pleasure echo through the entire house that night. Nobody got a single wink of sleep. Ollie walks down the stairs tired. When she ran up to her room last night she was angry. Angry at the goddess trying to take away her sensei. Angry at her sensei for letting her spend the night. Angry at everything. She knew that they were going to fuck, and it meant another opportunity for that bitch to steal her sensei. She soon heard the moans of pleasure from Freya and the grunts of her sensei. She heard them shout and the smacking of flesh together. Those sounds rapidly ate away at her anger until it left something else in its place. Arousal. She was aroused by her sensei fucking. She had never really considered her sensei like that before. She knew she loved him and was extremely possessive, but as a potential romantic interest. No, the thought had crossed her mind. She is only 14 years old after all. Still, once the thought of her sensei like that got implanted in her head last night, she couldn't stop imagining her as the one being fucked by her sensei. Her screams instead of Freya's. It made her arousal go to new extremes. She needed a release, and so, last night Volley discovered the art of masturbation. Damn her devil genes. Afterwards, she spent the rest of the night thinking about her sensei. Would he accept her feelings? Does he feel the same way? Could she make him feel that way? Thoughts like that made any escape to sleep impossible. In her mind, she had already disregarded the age gap and her young age. He is only 4 years older than her, which in the supernatural world is extremely close. Hell, Freya is thousands of years older than her sensei, and they still did it. Her body is nearing that of a fully grown woman and already looks 16, so she doesn't have to worry about that. Besides, sensei is hers. She will do with him what she wants. Still, she wants his affection back. So, the main problem is going to be making her sensei look at her as a woman, and not as his student. She has no idea how she is going to do that. Flaunting herself in front of him. Be direct and kiss him. As she gets to the end of the stairs, she sees Naruto and Freya already at the table eating breakfast. Both look like they have a slight afterglow from last night. The first thing she needs to do is to make sure that Freya doesn't get the chance to steal his heart. Even if that means certain sacrifices have to be made. Hatchling, you do know that powerful men usually have many mates. It's how the supernatural world works, Albion says. I didn't, to be honest. I will have to think on that too, Volley thinks to herself as she sits down. The battle for Naruto's heart has just begun. You okay, Volley? It looks like you didn't get enough sleep, Freya says innocently, getting a scowl from Volley. Naruto, meanwhile, blushes as red as a tomato. Sorry about that, Volley-chan, Naruto says as he nervously rubs the back of his head. Kurama is howling in laughter inside him. It's fine, sensei. Are we still going to Tokyo? Volley asks as she fake yawns. She needs to make her sensei feel bad, and then she can get him to do whatever she wants. Like leaving Freya here. Of course. I am always up for traveling. Naruto says happily. Maybe one day you would like to come see my realm. It's very beautiful, Freya asks with a smile. Yeah. We would love to, right, Volley-chan? Naruto says. Sure. Though we have to still get in our practice, Volley says, wanting to delay that trip as long as possible. Well, darling, I unfortunately have to go back and manage my realm as I have spent a long time searching for you. They're probably getting nervous and such. I will be back when I can, Freya says as she gives him a soft kiss on the lips, winks, and leaves via magic circle. The sight of Freya leaving brings a smile on her lips, and she voraciously eats the rest of her meal. She stretches her aching muscles, and realizes that she doesn't feel hindered when moving anymore. Sensei, I need you to raise my seal level, Volley says, and she takes off her jacket and maroon t-shirt. She is wearing a lacy bra that definitely shows off her assets. Naruto nods and takes out some of his ink. He channels chakra into her, causing her to shiver, and the seal releases. He paints on 8 and reseals it. She worked her ass off to get through levels 5, 6, and 7 the past 2 months. She pouts as he doesn't so much as even ogle her for a second. Hatchling, his view of you is of a 14-year-old and a disciple. That isn't something you will change easily, Albion says. You are going to support me in pursuing him? Volley asks, a little surprised. I have had many hosts before you, Hatchling. Both men and women. They all had partners before. Some of them had harems. A couple of those were women. I don't judge. You are my host, so I am going to support you all the way. I only want sensei. There's no need for anyone else, Volley vehemently says. You may think differently one day, Albion comments before going silent. Volley rolls her eyes at that comment. As if. You ready, Volley-chan? Naruto asks. Yes, but don't you need to make your clones? Already did when you were talking to Albie, Naruto says with a chuckle. Volley blushes in embarrassment as she was unaware of her surroundings, the one thing her sensei has been torturing into knowing. Well, let's go, Naruto says and teleports them to the outskirts of Tokyo. He looks around and finds that it mostly the same as Berlin. Tall buildings dominate the landscape with little in the way of nature. He would never want to live here, but he doesn't mind visiting. As they walk down the street, Volley grabs his hand, intertwining it with her own. She notices several of the looks sent Sensei's way, and has to withhold herself from sending Kai at them. She also gets a couple looks her way, but she just moves closer to Sensei. Where are we going? She asks as she squeezes his hand for attention. Not sure honestly. Let's just walk around, Naruto says while shrugging. They walk around for a couple of hours just looking around, a bit of shopping as Naruto wanted to get a kimono, orange of course, and Volley grabs a deep blue one, and eating various things. Volley enjoys everything immensely as she gets to spend time alone with her sensei in a date-like scenario. Soon they reach an area with many different people dressed in really strange clothing. On the billboards, they see ads for anime shows and manga with those characters wearing the same clothing. Naruto looks on amused and vaguely interested, as there were several comics back in his world like that. His eyes land on a huge billboard, and he drops his jaw. Volley feels him stop and looks at him curiously. What's wrong, sensei? Naruto points at the giant billboard with shock written all over his face. That's Seraphol Leviathan, he says. Volley looks up and sees the childlike image, but she is definitely an adult with her chest and the panties showing. She is wearing her pink magical girl outfit, giving a wink to everyone. Volley privately admits that she is extremely beautiful, maybe even rivaling Freya. That horrible outfit, Naruto says with a shudder. How the hell can a leader wear that? It seems she stars in a popular magic girl show, Volley says as she reads the ad. No doubt. She can actually use magic, Naruto comments. It reminds him of his time in the land of snow. Getting his first kiss, the one with Sasuke, did not count. From Koyuki was certainly memorable. Well, I am certainly glad that you ran away, Sensei, Volley says as she hugs his arm. I would probably be dead or worse without you. Yeah, I am glad I didn't stay too, he says as he ruffles her hair. I am going to throw up here, Kid Kurama says as he gags. Boy. Shut up, you fuzzbutt. We were having a moment there, Naruto yells in his mind. Whatever. Wake me up if anything interesting happens, Kurama says as he goes to sleep. Naruto rolls his eyes at his lazy friend. Pretty much all Kurama does is sleep. In fact, Kurama once told him that he slept for 50 years. Come on, Volley-chan. Let's get out of this area. I'd rather not see any more photos of her dressed like that, he says, and quickly drags her out of there. A couple minutes walk away, they spot the shrine Senzumjai to Kannon, a goddess of mercy. They were about to walk onto the grounds when they both get a shudder up their spines. Naruto's instincts tell him to be wary of the area in front of him. Hey Volley-chan, did you feel that? Naruto asks. Yeah, sensei. It felt like that one time we went around a church, Volley says. I didn't know it applied to other places of worship as well. I guess we shouldn't go in, Naruto says with a small frown. It was the first cool building they had found in the city too. Are you sure, sensei? I don't mind, Volley asks. Naruto thinks about it for a moment. No, we shouldn't. It might be taken wrong and start a fight. I'd rather avoid a needless one for now with you here. Sensei, I can protect myself, Volley pouts. Yes, you can, my little disciple. Still, you are inexperienced and that kills as many people as anything else, Naruto says sagely. I fight you every day. How does it not count as experience? She asks. 1. We only fight using taijutsu. The reason for this is that a vast majority of fights will devolve into this type of fight. You are certainly getting better, but against people that could potentially be hundreds of years old, it's not nearly close enough. You're also young and your strength isn't fully developed. We also haven't developed your own specific fighting style yet. 2. Weird fighting to the death. There are some lessons that you can only learn in these types of fights. 3. You haven't fought against someone with abnormal abilities yet. I would have died when I was 13 from one of these people, if she hadn't been kind-hearted. I can replicate this, but again, we have been only fighting with taijutsu. Oh? Volley mutters as she doesn't know how to argue against that. Don't worry, I have a plan. We are going to stop your physical training in the morning soon, and use that time in sparring with taijutsu. Continue with our magic practice. Finish with you fighting against a variety of abilities and power levels. We will also be hunting down strays for you to kill, and any bad fallen or devils we can find, Naruto informs her. That sounds like a higher version of torture, Volley deadpans. So instead of her getting her ass kicked for 3 hours a day, it's going to be for 7+ hours now. Yup. Nothing you can't handle, Naruto says with a smile. She gives him a fake scowl, getting him to chuckle. So, can I use my sacred gear then? Volley asks hopefully. Nope. Erg. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.
It's not a game.